This week, there are two topics. First one is the bivariant analysis using chi-square test, and the second one is how to make the maps using GIS. So basically, preparing some thematic mapping when we have a survey data with a like number of regions or districts which we can use that. So these are the two topics for this week. So first one is cross-tabulation and chi-square and thematic mapping. And this is the week 5. I'm going to talk about the first part of this lecture, which is going to be focus on cross-tabulation and chi-square test. Bivariant analysis. So last time you saw we used one of the variable to see the distribution of the cases or households or individuals by the different categories. And now we are trying to be see how we can relate two variables and which is normally giving you the cross tabulations and between the two variables and between the categories of the two different variables. For example, in this case, we are going to talk about improved water sources and unimproved water sources and versus different independent variables. So we have a potential list of potential variables we can use to see the relationship with the improved and unimproved water sources at the household level. So the first thing is the cross tabulation, and then the association between them we want to see and to evaluate them using a chi-square test. So these are the two things which I'm going to discuss about in this lecture, where you will learn how to uh, use the cross-tabulation analysis using SPSS software and multiple indicator cluster survey. And then we will run the chi-square test to evaluate whether there is a significant association between the different categories of variable one and versus the access to improved water sources. So this is a thing which I'm going to discuss with you. So in SPSS, um, we using the household level data. As you know, there are different files based on a one mixed survey. So we are using the household level data, and there is a variable which we prepared last time based on the different water sources, and we use different categories of those variables like based on improved and unimproved water sources. So we have that variable which we considering as a dependent variable and continue with that variable to see the cross tabulation, and for the next lecture will be focused on how to run the binary logistic regression using this variable. Okay, so cross tabulation, let's start with it and see where we will find this option. So usually it's under the descriptive statistics. You can see the cross tabs. And now I have already used these different variables to to try these different potential independent variables. If you see the list of those variables include wealth index, geographic variables, the gender of the sex of the household, head of the household, area, urban and rural, and then the person household is owned by or the rental, there's the status of the household and education of the head of the household. So these are the potential variables I'm trying to see whether this household has access to an improved water source or not. So this is the kind of cross tabulation which I'm going to do. So before going to run this test, I want to make sure you know the few things which we already have it. So first thing is we want to check the select cases. We need to be make sure we have only the cases where the questionnaire is valid. So we have this variable result of household interview, which is a variable name is HH46, and we want the first category which represent the complete household survey is completed. So that is equal to 1. That's we need to set. We want only the cases which have a complete interview. Second option is if you want to do the weighted cases, you want to make sure you have the set the cases by the variable we have, and that variable I last time mentioned usually available at the end of the file. So you have to find the weight column, and that's you can include it. So these are the two things which we need to make sure before running the cross tabulation analysis or any other descriptive statistics or bivariate analysis. Your data is, you understand what kind of data you're going to use in your analysis. Okay, so the first, we make sure we have all the checks, and the second thing is our dependent variable. So because we already prepared this variable before, there were like 14 15 different classes, and those classes we change into two groups. So this is ws one variable. Let's see where is that. Ws, yeah. So this variable, which is the actual variable, is they collect the information about the source of drinking water, main drinking water, and these are the categories, and we categorize them into two groups, and where which one is related to the improved water sources, and second one is related to the unimproved water sources, and that variable we prepare at the end, which you can see in my previous videos how we will get this variable. So now once you have understanding about the data set we are going to deal, so we will start our descriptive statistics again, cross tab, and now you can see those variables you can bring, and your independent variable is here into the columns, and then we have other variables in the rows. And if you see then statistics, we have option chi-square. I will run for first cross tab without chi-square, and then we have some options to see if you want to be get the observed values, percentage or without percentage. We will see those things later. First we will go for the observed counts only. Okay, let's see the results. Okay, so the cross tabulation give you, the first is processing case processing summary. Then we have a first our cross tabulation between the wealth index and improved water sources. Now you can see on the column heading we have improved sources, yes or no, and then on the left side you see the wealth quintile. There are five different categories starting for the poorest to rich, and now we see the count of the households with respect to the axis and their distribution. So we are not, we have the only count, we don't know the percentage. And the second is the division. So there are six divisions, and then versus two categories of improved water sources, yes or no. Similarly, you can see the other results, male and female, head of the household, and then those source improved water sources, yes or no, and all those variables you can see is getting those cross tabulations. Okay, I'm going to repeat the same command, and now we want to see the percentage of these cases, and we want to see the percentage by the row, because we want to see this is the total number, how many yeses are in the poor and how many yeses are in the richest. So we just want to see the percentage of households to make some idea whether the improved water source is in a relation with the wealth index. So let's try to repeat the command. There are two ways to repeat the command. First, you can go back and press the click on the cross tabs. Or second thing is there is a button you can recall the command, and then this is all the commands which you have already run. You can see the list of those and then pick it that again. Okay, now what we are going to do, we want to be looking the percentages. So cell, and now we need a percentage, and we need a percentage of row. Okay, let's try this one and repeat the command, and everything will stay the same. And now we're going to be run. And again, first is case processing summary. Then we have a cross tabulation. First, you see there's each category has the two options further, count and the percentage within the wealth index quantile. So now you can see here we have the percentage of yes, which is 66.5%. Household had improved water sources, access to the improved water sources, as compared to the richest families. Household belong to the richest quintiles. So they are almost 100%, which is 99.8% of the households have the access. So similarly, you can see the divisional level variations. So some have a very high 93, 98, and but there are some divisions which have a 70% in case, and then the 69, 69.4. So this is the variation you can see the percent across different divisions, which is normally we consider as a contextual factor. Okay, so now you can see the other independent variable and the relationship with the potential dependent variable, and to understand whether they have any significant association between those different categories. So that's the first thing we want to establish. So how we will know this variation, which is in terms of the percentage, you can see the count, different count between yes and no, whether they have any statistically significant or not. So that's the case when we have a two categorical variables. In case of improved water sources, we have yes or no two categories, and in case of the other potential independent variable, we have two, three, or four different number of categories depending on the independent variable we are talking about. So we are seeing the association between these two variables, between the categories of these two variables, and that's we're going to be do by using the chi-square test. Okay, so let's go and see how we can enable the chi-square test. Again, we need to repeat the same crosstab option. Let's go back, cross tabs. Everything is as it is. Only thing is go to the statistics tab, and then you need to be enable this chi-square test. That's the only thing you need to do to run the chi-square test, and to get the some statistical support to make a decision or evaluate whether there is a significant association between the different categories of your variable one and versus a variable two. Okay. Okay. So again, starting with the new set of tables, and we look with the quantile wealth index quantile and versus improved water sources again. So this is the same table that repeated, and but now the second table is basically the chi-square test, and there are number of different tests with the statistics you can see. So we need to see this significance level. If the significance level is less than 0.05, so it means we can determine or like we can say this test evaluates the association, and there is a significant association between those categories, which is like those five categories of the wealth index versus the two categories of the improved water sources. There is a significant association between them. So when we will report, we want to be report these three numbers. Like we test the chi-square test, and so the Pearson chi-square, and give the test value, degree of freedom, and then you can also tell like a significance value you can provide. So when you see the less than 0.005, it means like this test is suggesting you there is a statistically significant relationship between the level of different quantiles and access to the improved water sources. So I hope now you understand the cross tabulation when you have two variables. So you want to see their interaction between them, and now also those interaction have any meaningful association or not. This is the way we will test it. Okay, so that's the first thing which we want to be try. And then I'm going to be discuss the second part of this lecture, which is how to use some information to map it, particularly when we have some geographical variable. Where, for example, we have divisions, so there are six divisions, so we can map this percentage of yes or no. Either way, if you want to show the like the different division with percentage of improve water sources to show the distribution on the map. So we looking something number of categories more than 15, or not too many, like not 40 50, because that will reduce the power. So we want to make sure each category has a reasonable number of cases, so we can use that one to plot on a map. So that's going to be discussed in the next video, part 2 of this one. Thank you very much.